Okay, let's be real for a second. Your nightstand is absolutely collapsing under a tower of unread books, and yet you somehow just bought 3 more. If this sounds painfully familiar, you are in exactly the right place. We're about to decode the fascinating psychology behind why you do this.
And you know that feeling, right? That little twinge of guilt every single time you walk into a bookstore, or when your friends tease you about your out of control book buying. Well, this explainer is going to make you feel so incredibly seen. We're about to completely reframe how you see that pile of books. Look, society loves to tell you that buying books and not immediately reading them is wasteful or lazy or a sign of procrastination. But what if that completely misses the point? What if it's not even close to the psychological reality of what's going on in that beautiful brain of yours? In fact, this is so common that the Japanese have a specific word for this exact thing, Tsundoku. It's literally the art of buying books and letting them pile up unread. And yeah, while it might look like a disorganized mess to someone on the outside, to your nervous system, it's something incredibly profound. So, here's our game plan. We're going to start with what we'll call the unread book problem. Then we'll dive into what's happening in your brain, how these books become an extension of you, and, importantly, when that inspiration can turn into pressure. And finally, we'll talk about how to embrace your anti-library. All right, let's kick things off with the core idea that pretty much changes everything. We need to talk about the difference between a library and what you're really building, which is something called an anti-library. See, most people think of a personal library as a sort of trophy case, right? A monument to their ego, showing off everything they already know. But you're building an anti-library. It's not a display of your ego. It's a physical, tangible reminder of your curiosity and how much there's still left to learn. It's actually a sign of profound intellectual humility. Okay, so why does building this anti-library feel so instinctive, so right? Well, let's get into the nitty-gritty of your brain's wiring, because that's what's driving this whole behavior. What is it about an unread book that feels so magnetic, so compelling? Turns out, your brain isn't just wired for it. It might actually be starving for what that book represents. You see, psychologists have identified a trait they call a high need for cognition. This just means your brain doesn't simply enjoy deep thinking, it actively craves it. It needs depth, complexity, and meaning. So surrounding yourself with unread books is your brain's clever way of building an environment that promises an endless supply of all three. And this quote just hits the nail on the head. The more you learn, the more you realize how much you don't know. Your anti-library is the physical embodiment of that beautiful awareness. It's the sign of a mind that's always seeking to fill in the gaps. But this habit goes even deeper than that. It connects right to the very core of your identity. We're not just talking about what you know. We're talking about who you are, and maybe more importantly, who you're on your way to becoming. I mean, really think about the kinds of books you buy. They're not random, are they? They represent your passions, your questions, your goals, your future self. Each one is like a physical promise of your own growth. Psychologists have a really cool concept for this called the extended self. The idea is basically that our belongings become a real part of our identity. And for you, those unread books are an extension of who you are, a physical piece of your aspirational self. So no, these books are not a to-do list you're failing at. They are a powerful symbol of the person you aspire to be, a representation of the knowledge you crave, and a sign of your deep intrinsic motivation to just never stop learning. And yeah, there's a little brain chemistry at play here too. When you buy a new book, your brain releases a hit of dopamine. But this isn't some cheap shopping thrill. Your brain is literally rewarding you for the anticipation of discovery, for securing access to future knowledge. It's a reward for potential. Okay, but we have to be honest and look at the shadow side of this, right? Because sometimes that inspiring pile of books can cross a very thin line and go from feeling like potential to feeling like paralyzing pressure. So, how can the exact same pile of books feel like pure inspiration one day and then a mountain of anxiety the next? Well, the difference isn't the books, it's you. Specifically, it's about how much mental energy you have left in the tank. This is where a little concept called cognitive load comes into play. When your brain is already maxed out from work and stress and just life, that pile of books can suddenly become one more piece of visual clutter, one more unfinished task that flips the switch from potential into pressure. And if you're under enough stress, this can even morph into what psychologists call compensatory behavior. This is when you use a very concrete action, like buying a book on, say, productivity, to manage a very abstract feeling, like anxiety. You buy the book because it gives you this quick hit of control, making you feel like you're solving the problem, even if you never actually get to page 1.
So let's bring this all home. Here is the big reframe I really want you to walk away with today. It is time to let go of every ounce of guilt and start embracing your collection for what it actually is. Let me be perfectly clear. That tower of unread books, it is not a monument to your failures. It is not a sign of your laziness. It never was. What they are, instead, is a testament to your endless curiosity. They're a sign of your refusal to stop questioning the world. You get that the magic of a book isn't just in finishing it. Sometimes it's in the deep comfort of knowing that knowledge is just sitting right there waiting for you. So, from now on, the next time someone gives you that judgmental look for bringing home yet another book, you can look them right in the eye and tell them you're not hoarding, you're expanding your anti-library, you're practicing profound intellectual humility. Okay, so I have to ask you, how many unread books are currently in your anti-library? Drop the number in the comments below and be honest. This is a safe space for all of us, intellectually humble, curious book lovers.